They did say something.
Mhm. Thank you. Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I am in the John Wilson building, the District City Hall, and I am joined by members of my public safety team to give a public briefing on yesterday's officer-involved shooting. First, let me say we know how tragic any loss of life is in our city, and I want to offer my condolences to the family of Deon Kay. Our community is hurting, and we know that they want answers, and we want to today provide you with as much information as we can. We are still gathering all the facts, and MPD and my administration will conduct a full investigation of this incident. To urgently provide the public with what we have preliminarily, we are releasing body-worn camera footage from yesterday's officer-involved shooting. The district, as you know, has been a leader in utilizing body-worn camera technology. I made it a priority in my administration to deploy this technology to all patrol officers, and the BWC footage is an important tool for transparency and holding officers accountable to the public. I want to say that the mother of Mr. Kay, his next of kin, has been offered counseling support as well as the ability to view the footage today as well. It goes without saying that we have a grieving family, and reliving this painful event can be traumatic. So please, as you review the footage or read about yesterday's events online, or as you discuss it with others, I implore you to proceed with respect and privacy for the family, and certainly not to let any anger spill over into violence in our city. So with that, I want to turn to the chief.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. I'm Pete Newsham. I'm the Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department. As the mayor said, the loss of life of anyone in the District of Columbia is tragic for a family and a community. To the Kay family, I offer my heartfelt condolences for their loss. Moments ago, and pursuant to D.C. Council's Comprehensive Police and Justice Reform Emergency Amendment Act, members of the media had the opportunity to review body-worn camera footage of a fatal officer-involved shooting that occurred yesterday afternoon in the 200 block of Orange Street Southeast. The footage is currently available to the public on the MPD website under the section entitled Community Briefing Videos. Yesterday at about 3:49 p.m., uniformed members of the 7th District were in the area of the 200 block of Orange Street Southeast to investigate the report of a man in possession of a gun. Officers had seen a live stream video on social media of the man with the gun and knew him from previous contacts. As officers exited their patrol car to approach a parked car that was occupied by multiple men, 2 individuals fled on foot and officers pursued them. One of those men brandished a firearm from his waistband as he was fleeing. In response, an MPD officer just discharged his service weapon, firing a single shot at the individual. The individual sustained a single gunshot wound to his chest. Officers initiated first aid to the man, and members of the DC Fire and EMS transported him to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. The decedent has been identified as 18-year-old Deon Kay of Southeast D.C. Officers did recover a firearm that we believe that Mr. Kay was in possession of at the time of the incident. The handgun was recovered by the Department of Forensic Science and taken as evidence. The officers involved were placed on administrative leave. As you know, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia will conduct an independent review into the facts and circumstances surrounding the use of force by our member. I did indicate that a second individual fled. That person has not been identified at this time. There were 2 additional arrests on the scene, one for carrying a pistol without a license of a 19-year-old, and another one that was arrested for no permit. We can take any questions that you all might have.
How far away from the shooting scene was the weapon recovered?
They measured the distance, and it was 98 feet.
That seems like a long way for somebody to throw a weapon.
That it does seem like a long way to throw a weapon, yes. Yes.
In the officer's statement, did he indicate whether he thought Kay was trying to throw the weapon away?
No.
As follows, do police have any indication based on the video of what his intentions were to do with the weapon?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Do police have any indication based on the video of what Kay might have been trying to do with the weapon?
The officer did provide a statement, and he indicated that he saw the suspect who was approaching him from the rear brandish a weapon when he turned around. And as a result, in response to that, he drew his weapon. I don't know if he drew his weapon. He may have had his weapon out. He fired 1 round, and then he saw the individual throw the weapon.
So,
Hold on, let's. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so Chief, he was, the officer was pursuing somebody else at that time, and then could you explain it to us?
Yes, initially a person ran from the vehicle. The officer began to pursue him on foot. He realized that the person had gained too much of a distance from him. When he turned around, that's when Deon Kay approached him and displayed a handgun. And in response to that, the officer fired 1 round. Unfortunately, Deon Kay lost his life.
so do you believe, I mean, it's probably hard to tell from the video, but do you believe he was in the process of throwing the weapon when he was hit, or do you believe he threw the weapon after he was hit?
You know, let me just say this. The video has been put out so that everyone can go and look at the video for themselves. You can stop it frame by frame and make your own determination. We will do the same when we conduct our investigation. As the mayor mentioned, this is a preliminary investigation, and we are putting the video out to be transparent. There's been a call to get the video out, and it's actually a Herculean that we were able to get it out as quickly as we did. There's a process that is involved in releasing this video, and I had folks working overnight to ensure that we got it out. And one of the reasons that we put it out as quickly as we did is because there's a lot of misinformation in the current climate that we have, not only here in Washington, D.C., but across the country. Misinformation can lead potentially to some disturbances in our city, and that's the last thing that we wanted to see. So we put the video out there, take a look at it. You can draw your own conclusions in hindsight or not as to what occurred, but we're going to wait until we have all the evidence before we make a final determination.
Chief, in the video after the shooting, the officers, what appears to be his immediate reaction is to look for that weapon. And you hear him frantically actually saying, you know, where is it, I gotta find it. In your opinion, is that what he should have been doing? Is that protocol? I mean, I know other officers were attending to Mr. Kay, but it just seems like this guy who just shot and killed Mr. Kay was singularly focused on finding that gun.
I think your I guess, impression of what you saw is consistent with mine, that the officer was concerned about finding the weapon. There were other officers that were administering first aid to Mr. Kay. And so, you know, it's really hard to say how a person is going to react under extreme stress. And one of the things that folks don't know is when a police officer is put into that situation, when they fear for their life, that they are going to be shot and killed, that they are under stress. So his reaction is probably consistent with normal human behavior, but that remains to be seen. Yes.
So Chief, were any of these guns ghost guns?
One of the two guns that was recovered from the scene was a ghost gun.
Was
Can
it
you
the
tell
gun
us-
that the person shot had?
I'm sorry?
Which gun was it? You said one of
The gun that we believe was in possession of Mr. Kay, the one that was recovered from the scene, was not a ghost gun.
Were the officers familiar with Mr. Kay and any of the other individuals that you believe were in?
From the officers' statements, they indicate that they knew Mr. Kay when they saw the live stream. They knew him by name.
And can you tell us anything about his history?
I know that he's a validated gang member from the area, and I know that he's had multiple touches with the criminal justice system. And I will say this, this is a tragedy to have any young person killed in the District of Columbia. I'm pretty sure that Deon Kay fell through multiple safety nets before yesterday afternoon, just before 4 o'clock.
Had he been arrested before prior with any kind of gun charge?
I'm not going to get into that detail, Sam, but I'm sure you can get that information. Okay, thank you all.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Mayor Bowser, can I ask you, have you reviewed the video, and what is your take on the video?
I have reviewed the video. I don't know that I have more to add than what the chief has already said about the facts that we can glean from it.
What would you say, Mayor, to the individuals who were protesting outside the police station yesterday, and people that were protesting outside your house today, this morning? What would you?
This is what I say to the public, and that is that when we purchased these body-worn camera, we knew that they wouldn't answer all the questions for any incident, but they would tell us, you know, in some part what the officer or what the public saw at that time. And getting that out in a responsible way is how we can help the public answer some questions. What I know is that our officer was trying to take guns off the street, and what I know is that he encountered somebody with a gun. So as the chief has already explained, now the rest of the investigation has to happen, and that's the stage where we are now.
Mayor Bowser,
Yes.
what would you say to the protesters outside your house who are calling for you to fire Chief Nugent?
I don't say anything to them. Yes.
Bowser, why aren't you naming the police officer?
Oh, we will name the police officer.
Do you know when?
Now. Deputy Mayor, do you have it? Okay. We'll make it available. It'll be on the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice, as we have done in previous cases. Yes.
Was the officer involved in this shooting allowed to review the body-worn camera footage before they gave their statement on the incident?
Chief?
That's part of the legislation, no.
And I'm sorry if you already
But I think that it's out there, but he already gave his statement, so no.
And I'm sorry if you already answered this one, but have police determined whether this was justified?
There's no way we could make that determination at this point. There's at least one other person that was there on the scene who fled on foot. That person could come back and give valuable information, and we hope that they do. There's a potential for privately owned video in the area. We don't have any forensic information at this point. We are in the infancy stages of an investigation. All we have is some statements and a video. There's a lot of work yet to be done before we come up with any conclusions.
Chief, were there any other arrests at the scene yesterday?
There were, I mentioned that earlier, there was an arrest for carrying a pistol without a license. That person was in possession. We've released his name, was in possession of a ghost gun, and there was a no permit arrest.
So three other arrests.
2 other arrests.
What's a no permit? Is that a gun permit? No, what's no permit?
Not having a driver's license.
Not having a driver's license. Off topic?
Sure.
Mayor Bowser and Chief Newsom, could you both respond to the U.S. Attorney's response to your press conference the other day? And him specifically, the U.S. Attorney citing the reason that they're not prosecuting these cases is because police officers are not presenting probable cause.
I think that the U.S. Attorney was mistaken, and I think he's going to clarify that statement.
And then can we ask you to respond to, and I know you put out a statement with other mayors, but could you respond to President Trump's request to review funding, federal funding for what he called anarchist cities?
It seems like a political stunt. We know that the president, I try not to make political statements at this podium, but this seems like a time where it's warranted. The president is, instead of talking about the failures of the last 4 years, especially COVID-19 national response, the failure of the economy, and the failure to really move meaningful legislation for the people, whether it's unemployment or more small business relief. As a distraction, he's focused on American cities, where millions of Americans live. I said the other day that a president who attacks American cities is really attacking America. So we will spend some time looking at it. Hopefully we won't have to waste too much time on it, and that we are going to treat it very seriously. Yes, sir.
Mayor Bowser, I know the mother of Deon Kay was very vocal since. Is there a message you have to her?
I can't hear you.
I know the mother of Deon Kay has been very vocal since this. Is there a message that you have to her?
Well, certainly we are very sorry for her loss. We know that she lost her son, and unfortunately, I'm sure that she's going to be reliving that moment, and she has our condolences.
And just another quick question. I know, last night, this morning, the protesters obviously in front of your house. Is there a reason why you didn't simply just come out and address them?
I am at home with my 2-year-old daughter, and she's my first priority. Yes.
Mayor Bowser, could you give us your thoughts on Governor Hogan giving a green light for Phase 3 in Maryland?
My big, and I haven't, Mark, spent any time really analyzing the governor's statement or where they are in Maryland since yesterday. You do know, however, we're a porous region, and what happens in the counties right around the district will impact our experience with COVID. So it is a concern of ours. Our priority is getting kids back to school. And so we're very focused on watching our numbers, and containing the virus. So come the first week, or was that the second week of November, November the 9th, our kids will be able to go back to school. So it's concerned, and we know when that happens, that the rest of the economy can really open. Businesses can really open. People can really come back to the downtown. And I think for us, we don't want to think about large entertainment venues where we know there's super spreading activity opening before schools.
And if I could get one more in, could you tell us your reaction, one, to the DC Faces report and recommendations, and then two, can you explain why at first it had federal recommendations, and then after the White House and Secretary of Interior blasted the recommendations, that was then taken out of the report?
Well, I don't know that I agree with your chronology. In fact, I think it's off. But my expectation of the report was that it would not include any recommendations on federal buildings. And when I saw the final report, and I could see immediately how its recommendations could be easily misconstrued or purposely misconstrued. So we removed it. I spoke to the chairs and asked them to stay focused on local DC.
Why didn't the chairs know that in advance? In July, Co-Chair Reyes told me in no uncertain terms that they were looking, knowing that they had no authority, they were going to weigh in with opinions and recommendations for federal properties. Why was there a disconnect between you and the chair?
Well, I empowered a working group, Mark, and our working group, I think, represents a lot of thinking. And I think if you ask 10 people, you're going to get 10 different opinions on how we can appropriately recognize or contextualize some very difficult truths of our history. And so I think that the working group kind of landed, like a lot of people do, with a difficult, how shall I say, a difficult reconciliation of all of those goals.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.